Once upon a time, there was a very bookish podcast called Pages for Ages. Welcome to episode 1. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing how I personally got into BookTok, my journey to opening the podcast, and I'm going to read and respond to some fan reviews. My book podcasting name, pen name? Yeah, that's fitting, is Paige Turner. You see what I did there? And I'm hoping for this to end up being maybe like a fortnightly or monthly podcast. We'll see how many views, subscribes this gets. So let's stop yapping and get straight into it. So I remember I started getting BookTok on my feed, on my algorithm about a year ago. It was mostly the popular books, anybody who's remotely bookish and uses social media will have heard of these books, like Powerless, Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Shatter Me, etc., etc. And I really remember at the time being so shocked that there's a community for readers online and that it wasn't ridiculed, at least not that I've seen. Reading had been seen as really nerdy, really geeky. So I was just surprised that there was this corner of the internet where reading and just everything bookish was being celebrated. I mean, obviously I was hooked at this point. There was this community of readers lifting up, praising reading, the art form, I guess, that it is, that I've been loving for ages, and just clueless little, maybe chronically offline me just hadn't realized that was even happening. So I was just really excited, and I went and I bought, I remember 3 books, Shatter Me, Powerless, and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. They were the first 3 BookTok, mainstream books that I remember seeking out. Obviously changed the way that I read and how I see books since then. So I thought we could have a little breakdown of each book, my thoughts, just briefly, because I'm thinking of maybe focusing more on them in future episodes. But yeah, let's talk about that. Something that I really enjoyed from those 3 books, number 1 favorite book. Anybody who knows me, who has followed the WhatsApp, the YouTube, has probably seen me yapping about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. What's not to love about this book? We had the most engaging mystery, the tangents, the clues, the way it all came together. Do not get me started, because I can yap about this book all day. Props to Holly Jackson, the author that she is. I would read anything she puts her name to. I just think that she writes such brilliant mysteries. You often can't really tell where it's going. Shared her stories with most of my family, most of my friends. Just want everybody to read her books. So yes, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a great one. It follows the schoolgirl Pip, and she decides to focus on this murder that happened several years ago in her town, which she thinks was kind of unfair and not looked into enough. So it's kind of her journey to figuring out the clues, and she meets this boy Ravi Singh, who is the accused suspect Sal Singh's brother, and their whole friendship, relationship, development throughout the series is so lovely. Absolute highlight. Just go read this book and see for yourself, and then you know exactly what I'm yapping about. And that brings us on to a divisive book, Powerless. Now, I've had people who follow the channel who told me they love this book so much. It's their world, it's their everything, care about the characters so much. I mean, I did enjoy this book. I like the world, I like the characters. I did feel it was a bit repetitive. It was kind of getting hard to continue reading, especially with the first one. There's a lot of words on those pages, and there's a lot of pages. Maybe I just don't have the appetite for long books. Maybe I just have a short attention span, but it's a commitment. It's a true commitment. I did think the novella, the powerful novella, might have just been because it's shorter, but the story is so much better. It focuses on my favourite character. Love that one so much more. Reckless, again, pretty good. Oh my god, I actually haven't read fearless or fearful yet. Confession. Because I want them to come out in paperback, so, you know, the heights in the series could all be, like, on the spines, could all be the same height on my shelf, it would all look very aesthetic. But I do think that it's generally quite mixed. I've had followers tell me how much they did not like this book, how they didn't feel it lived up to their expectations, and I don't really think that's a right or wrong answer, you know. I personally could see both views from my experience of reading this book, but I do also think that, you know, reading is subjective. It's important to be reminded of that. Everybody can interpret the same thing differently. So it's just important that we respect everybody's opinion. Okay, we'll have to talk about it. Shatter Me. I've got a lot to say. I've seen everybody online saying how much they loved it, how much they loved the book Boyfriend, how the plot was great. They just really enjoyed it, and I wanted to really enjoy it too. I read the first book, and I was thinking, you know, maybe I just need to get into it. Like, it was very metaphor heavy, but the first book is like a slim book. So I guess if you didn't like it, you know, it's not too many hours of your life gone. And then they get, like, gradually, some of the books get bigger, some of them are smaller, whatever. But they get, like, longer after the first book. And I did find the main character kind of hard to engage with. I thought the way it was told, like, it was metaphor after metaphor after metaphor to describe everything. And I get that sometimes being metaphorical is the best way to describe something. But equally, it just felt sort of jarring in this context where you couldn't read a single sentence without there being a metaphor there. And I'm not saying it was a bad book, because I don't think it's like a book can either be like 100% bad or 100% good, because there must have been something that made somebody want to go and publish this book, or somebody give this book a high rating. But for me, like, there were lots of things that I felt were kind of slow about the book. Even when it was in the most active scenes, I kind of felt myself zoning out. But there's some characters in the book that I did really like. The side characters, I did really connect with. They were funny. They kept the book fresh and interesting and kept the plot moving along. So there was a big plus there in the characters for me. Now, I'm eager to answer some of my fan questions, some of you guys' questions, responses, things that have been shared through my channel, especially about these 3 books. Like, I have had one listener say that they thought some of the books they would give anything to read again. The books everyone associates them with is Powerless and the Red Queen series, which is by Victoria Aveyard, and Poweless is by Lauren Roberts. And I just think this is kind of strange, because people have been saying online that the books have a really comparable storylines, like really similar. So I wonder if that's what drew this fan to read them, or maybe that was what, like, they wanted to, maybe that was what they had heard about one of the books they wanted to compare, because I know there's been a whole thing, like a big scandal about this. I personally haven't read the Red Queen series. I know it is on my list of books that I want to read at some point, so I will get round to it, and then we can do a comparison. I'm going to round things off with a listener recommendation, and this is for the Skandar series. They've said that it's perfect for fantasy fans. I am a fantasy fan. I would say my primary genre is probably crime. I mean, everybody knows me as, like, the Good Girl's Guide to Murder Girl. Do like a good romantasy book every now and then, you know, get caught up in a new world. So this might be one to try it. This listener has given it 4.9 out of 5 stars. Very specific. It's good to be specific, you know, I guess no book is perfect, but this one was nearly there, so I will definitely put this one onto my TBR. So thank you very much for that. Right, that's it for the Pages for Ages, episode 1. I hope you enjoyed this little intro to me, and I'm hoping I can get some of my bookworm friends as guests on for future episodes, and we can discuss BookTok books, we can give you some recommendations, our thoughts, that kind of thing. Thought that would be a good idea. Make sure to follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this podcast. It is going to be up on YouTube, Spotify, hopefully. I mean, we'll see about getting that set up. I think on the WhatsApp channel as well.
So make sure to subscribe to all of those places. Rate this podcast, subscribe, rate this podcast 5 stars if you enjoyed it. And if you didn't enjoy it, then maybe rating isn't that important anyway. Next episode, we are going to be chatting about the Once Upon a Broken Heart series and some other BookTok books. So I would just love if you could get some reviews, questions, any more comments about any books down below in the comment section. Thank you for making it to the end, and see you next time. Bye, bookworms!